This guy, Mark Rein.
I'm Mark Rein, actually.
Oh, yeah? I know, I'm Spartacus.
You're way better looking.
And this is Mills, also known as Chief Wonka. I'm glad I could pronounce the O bit of that.
It could be either. I'm not bothered.
So I won't interfere with this anymore. Over to you for fireside chat.
I'm a real man.
That's better.
I guess I can start out. This is kind of the Mark Rein show. This next half an hour. He made it very obvious last night that it was focused on him in a good way. As a joke. Yeah, but I met Mark 6 weeks ago. He's become a hero ever since. So I guess that's why they invited me in to kind of host this little discussion. My background's sort of user interface. Moving into gaming via mobile is kind of our entry point into that. And I guess that's where kind of we can start this conversation. Mark, as I'm sure most of you know, is extremely successful in making great games. I've been learning about them over the last 6 weeks. But I guess a key question to kick off is that things like Gears of War 3, which is coming out, is set to be a massive hit. Why would you then have made the attempt to move into mobile? Because this is going to be about mobile, this kind of part of it all.
Well, mobile is clearly a really important sector. I think everything's going to go mobile at some point in time. Oh, can we turn that down a bit? Hello? Testing. Okay. You know, we have this studio, Chair Entertainment. They make smaller games. We wanted to, you know, try out what it'd be like to be in mobile. We want to build something really cool there. So there's really more of a, you know, this is an obvious thing to do. It's a huge marketplace. I think a lot of the stuff we do in gaming we'll be doing with mobile devices.
Yeah. I mean, an interesting fact that I found is Mark's going to talk about in a minute is that I run a successful, humble sort of digital design studio down in London. There's 90 of us, and we're primarily making our money from service work. And mobile and games within mobile for us has been a marketing sort of initiative, really. We have never really expected to make that much money from it, and in all honesty, I didn't think many people outside of the Angry Bird world was really making that much money. But to put it into kind of perspective, a 90-person design studio, our turnover is set to be not as much as in the next few months, I dare say, this guy has made from Infinity Blade. So the last I knew it made $10 million.
Yeah, I think on June 7th during WWDC, we put out an announcement that it made 10, and I checked this morning, it was at 11.2. So that's in less than a month, it's gone up another 1.2 million. And then remember, that's the money we make after Apple's cut.
Of course.
Right? So in gross terms, you often hear when they talk about Call of Duty numbers, they say it's $1 billion. They're talking about the gross revenue that the product earns. We're talking about the net revenue.
It's a lovely product. It looks fantastic, and of course, Apple got all over it and helped. Interestingly enough, you released it as a premium game at something like $3.99. I can't remember, $6. You said.
I only know it in a U.S. price. Yeah, we sell it for $5.99, and we've had 2 sales where we've dropped the price down to half of that, so essentially $3, $2.99.
And the users go up massively.
Yes, the sales do really well. We get a large install base. It helps the in-app purchases afterwards. Yeah. And but you know, we're a believer in the premium price model. I mean, there's no reason why, if you make really great products, why you can't sell them for a really good price. And we've done a lot of studying. What's really been great about Infinity Blade is it's been a classroom for us. So we've learned so much about this stuff. And in our short 21 minutes left, I'll share as much of it as I can. So one of the things that we did is we've been all over the top 10 charts, except 8. I don't know why, for some reason, we haven't been 8. But this was a few months ago, but so we might have been 8th by now at some point in time. So we now know what a #1 game grossing. We only care about the top grossing chart, by the way. The other charts don't matter to us. But we know what a #1 game does, a #2 game, #3, #4, #5, #6, 7, 9, and 10. And
are they good?
and so we have a pretty good feeling. We have a pretty good feeling what happens as you go up and down in the charts. And we've also talked to other developers and exchanged some information with them, because that's a beauty thing. Once you have some numbers to share, other people will share their numbers with you. Yeah. And so we talked to guys who are making some of the social games, the free-to-play games, and we kind of came to the conclusion that for us to make as much money solely on in-app purchases as we've made from the combination of in-app purchases and a premium price, we'd have to have 30 times as many downloads as we have now. Now that's probably not achievable. I'm not going to go into download numbers, but that's just a ridiculously huge amount to make that kind of money. So you see some of some of the challenges in these 99 or free games that are relying solely on in-app purchases, and it's difficult to make that kind of money. There certainly are many that do, but it's difficult to break into that and make $11 million in 6.5 months.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but you said you've made 11.4 whatever million.
2 today.
It's probably 4 now.
Maybe tomorrow.
Half an hour later. It'd be interesting to know how much it costs to make a game like that.
So it costs us about $1.5 million to launch the game, and we spent, and again, these are numbers from a month ago. We spent up to about a month ago, we'd spent about another $400,000 to keep running the game and keep improving the game. And that's the other thing that's really important with these games. If you want to keep getting bumped in the charts, you have to update them. You have to improve them. You have to add something new. It's not just throwing new content in. We threw in some new features. We added multiplayer. Every time so far, all of our sales have been timed to some new feature update. And that's something that I definitely want to try. I want to try a sale without any big announcement, without any new feature update, without any stage presentation or anything like that, and just see if that really moves the needle or not. And so we haven't done that. So that's kind of our next thing, is just try a straight sale. But you dropped your lens cap. But where was I?
Before you go any further, you dropped your mic, Mills.
Oh, is that why I wasn't working?
How
do I drop it?
Between your legs. Sorry.
Okay, now we're really going. Would you like some, Carrie?
I think there's more sense coming from down there.
Well, I'm glad you're looking between his legs instead of mine.
That was last night.
Oh, where was I? So we haven't. So we've. So we've timed these updates, and so like I say, I think it's really important to have something to keep the users coming back, because it's really important to try and get yourselves back up the charts. And I don't think price alone necessarily drives that.
No.
Right? You have to deliver some consumer experience. You got to get consumers talking about it again, playing it, telling their friends, showing it off, right? To basically keep the momentum up there. So we've done pretty well. And I say we spent about another $400K between launch and that June 7th date on keeping the team going and working on the game and adding new stuff.
So that's a pretty tidy profit on that.
Sure.
I mean, from the conversation we've been having the last few days, it's kind of this is a proof you think that if you make something truly special, designed for the platform, then there's a chance of making some seriously big bucks. Because that's not, I think, when I speak from
that's how business works, my friend. You make a great product. Yes. Now you find a good audience.
Of course.
And people come and buy it. There's no magic there.
No, of course.
Right.
But I mean, a lot of the apps out there aren't like that. There's a lot of dreadful stuff out there, and you're a poster child for success and quality.
And to be honest, that was one of our. So, what were our goals in making Infinity Blade? So, the main goal was to take the Chair team. So, Chair, I'll tell you real quickly. Chair is a 12-man team in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. They had previously made a game called Undertow. They then made a game called Shadow Complex, and we bought them while Shadow Complex was in development. Yeah. And Shadow Complex is also somewhat unique in that it was the first real AAA production value game for Xbox Live Arcade. And again, at the time, everybody thought we were crazy, overspending on this game to build something really great. Yeah. Would it pay off? And it did quite well. And GamePro at one time was calling it the #1 Xbox, or the best Xbox Live arcade game of all time. So critically, it did extremely well. Financially, it did okay. iTunes is kicking its ass. But so our goal was to do that. What we said to these guys was, we would like you, this is August of last year, we would like you guys now now that we have the engine running really well on iPad and iPhone at the time, now that we have it running really well, we want you guys to make the AAA game, or the Shadow Complex for iTunes.
Yeah.
And they said, well, does that mean you want us to make Shadow Complex? No, if you think you can make Shadow Complex for a touch device and it's the right way to make that kind of game, and it'll be as compelling as Shadow Complex is with a controller, sure, but we're not putting any restrictions on what kind of game. Just come up with an idea, and just come up with something that you think would be a really unique and fun game that shows off AAA production values. We want you to make it in under 6 months. Right, we want to have this thing in the store in 6 months. We want you to make it for a reasonable price, because okay, when you're Epic, you have the luxury of, well, if we want to spend $3 or $4 million, we could have.
Do you think 1.5 million is a reasonable price looking back now? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
well,
now it is,
we
yeah.
just went by time. We said, look,
Yeah.
you have this much time, so this is what it costs for that much time. So
Yeah,
we kind of had an idea what we're going to spend on it. And so basically, they came back a week or two later with this idea for Infinity Blade. It was a rehash of an idea. At one point, we were thinking, well, what should we do after Shadow Complex? Should we make a Kinect game? This is before Kinect had launched, so there was a lot of risk in that.
Yeah.
And they came up with this idea of a game similar to Infinity Blade, where you were, but you were using your hands, and you were knights traveling around from castle to castle to castle. And we decided at that point in time, for a 12-man studio, that game would actually be too expensive for them to make, and was probably a little bit beyond their capabilities in terms of art. So to produce that game at the kind of quality level that you need to be AAA on Xbox 360 would have been a very expensive game to make, and would have required them dipping into Epic's asset pool and having our artists do a lot more work on it, maybe our level designers. They just didn't have a big enough team to pull it off at that level. So obviously, when they came up with a slightly different design for iPhone, it sounded great. So I said, okay, let's go make that game.
And when you make it, you've had a lot of experience in making AAA titles for consoles. You kind of have an expectation how much you're going to invest, how much you're going to make.
Yeah.
Did you have any expectations of what this would make? Is 11 million good for you?
Well, we never try to have that big of an expectation what a game's going to make, because you can blow that really badly. The customers ultimately decide what you make.
Yeah.
So our goal is to make a game that we really love to play, and count on the fact that, well, if we really enjoy playing this game, there's probably lots of people like us. We're hardcore gamers, that we know our audience, we know what we wanted, we know we are our audience.
Yeah.
And so we know what we love to play, and we just keep working on the game till we love it, and then we ship it.
So you believe there was a gap in the market for premium games? I mean, there's nothing like it.
I don't think we ever evaluated whether there was a gap or not a gap. I mean, that's what big, stupid companies do. Oh, there's a gap over here, let's make this. Even though we don't know how to make this, let's make this, right? We just said we want to make this a fun game, we should make it, right? So we didn't do a lot of, we wanted, so again, the reasons were we wanted to build a game in a reasonable period of time. We wanted to show off that our technology was ready to ship games on iOS. We wanted to get, something in the store that was AAA production values.
Yeah.
And everything else was just, we didn't expect to lose money on it. I mean, at least we certainly a bad idea if we just did it just to show off with no expectation. So our expectation is it'll make its money back.
Sad, that's what we do.
Beyond making its money back, who knows? That's up for the customers to decide.
I know you do have some interesting facts, you just told me it, but you talked about the sort of pound for pound investment you're seeing.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. So you asked, so one of your questions was, well, if you make games like Gears of War that make so much money, why would you make a mobile game?
Why would you bother?
Well, one thing that we've learned so far, and of course it's still going, in terms of return per man-month invested, Infinity Blade is about the same as Gears of War. In other words, in terms of the number of people that worked on it and how long they worked on it compared to working on Gears of War, which is a 2 to 2.5 year game, but makes crazy, stupid amounts of money, Infinity Blade is keeping pace.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So the other night, again, over some nice wine, I remember saying to you, sort of flippantly, you wouldn't want to be making any sort of fugazi freemium games. That's not real games, is it? But yet, you announced a mobile, is that how you say it, deal the other day? That's going to take Infinity Blade to a new world.
Well,
briefly touch on that.
So again, going back to the reasons for Infinity Blade was the classroom. We wanted to learn about this stuff. We want to learn about how the App Store works. We want to learn about microtransactions. Were absolutely something we asked the chair team, figure out how to incorporate microtransactions in whatever you do, and that way we could play around with price. And so we already have a bit of that. Like the game already has a little of that. It wasn't solely designed to be a freemium game or solely designed to be a game where we're going to just get a lot of money out of you because you're going to pay us crazy amounts of money to have the best hat or the best armor or the best sword. But turns out people really like to do that.
Do you not feel like you're ripping them off?
About 45% since we launched in-app purchase.
Yeah.
So which was 12 or 13 days, about 2 weeks after we launched the game, which was a bit of a mistake. We should have had it at launch. But since we launched in-app purchase, about 45% of the revenues come from in-app purchase.
Scary,
you'd be surprised how many people pay $50 to buy $50 worth of gold for their $6 game. It's insane, right? And in fact, the most profitable, well, I shouldn't say profitable, but the biggest revenue earner of the in-app purchase is the $20 gold pack. So again, enough people buy the $20 gold pack, we make more revenue on the $20 gold pack than we do on the $1 gold pack. That's another fallacy, I think, is that people are so focused on price and being free. Like, freemium's a terrible word because, like I said earlier, I think if we made the game free, we would have made a lot less money.
But I mean, people do freemium and sell virtual card, but you do premium, pre-premium or something like that.
What, some buzzword.
It's a good one.
So Mobigay. So again, this is a chance to dip our toe in the water and learn from a company that has a hugely successful social network in Japan. So if you think about Japan, it's mostly feature phones.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you think about everything I know tells me that iPhones are just starting to make, and smartphones are just starting to make good inroads in Japan. And here these guys have 28 million users now. And Japan is such a great gaming culture. I mean, probably the best gaming culture in the world, right? And Scandinavia is maybe second. The UK is big, right? So, these guys are passionate, very, very passionate gamers. And Infinity Blade's done well in Japan. And these guys are hugely passionate gamers. So it's a great place to stick your toe in the water. They're going to start converting all these guys over from feature phone players to smartphone players. Yeah. And so they approached us and said, we'd like to take Infinity Blade and work with you on a few changes that we think will make it a more successful freemium game. And we're like, sure, why not?
We'll do it. Well, it sounds good. We better move down because we're on question 1 still. We're not really.
We covered a few.
The thing everyone wants, well, a few people did. I mean, why didn't you and why will you not, or will you move to Android?
Oh, Android. So, I mean, Android, I think somebody talked about it earlier today, right? So Android just has a lot of challenges that still need to be overcome. For instance, right now you can't ship a game that's over 50 megabytes in Android. And I think Infinity Blade, last time I checked, was 897 megabytes. So if we want to ship Infinity Blade in Android, we sell you a 50 megabyte stub, and then we take off our servers and download the other 847 megabytes. We probably lose money on that proposition. So that's one challenge. The other challenge is support. There was an article in Pocket Gamer where some developers talked about, well, I'm now making really good money on Android. And if you read between the lines, he was barely making anything on Android. And he was seeing 1 to 2% of support calls, which makes sense because Google doesn't really police, and there's all these different devices, and it's worse than that. So we have Epic Citadel on Android, and there's this one device we use as a bit of a reference device. It's similar to iPhone 4. It's the Samsung Galaxy S. The US, there's 4 different carriers that carry this phone. Yeah. Epic Citadel launches on 3 of them. And one of them it doesn't. Same exact piece of hardware. But there's so much shovelware on phone number 4 that you just don't even get enough memory to, like, it's so unpredictable. There's so many weird and unpoliced problems like that. And there's challenges there. I mean, these are things that'll have to be overcome because obviously there's lots of Android handsets out there. We haven't seen any evidence that there's lots of people willing to buy premium price games there.
So no intention to release it?
But it will happen. No, I mean, it'll happen at some point in time. But
you got a release date?
No, gosh, no.
Okay. We better move through because we are running out of time. I mean, the thing we've been talking about publishing, I mean, your Epic Studios, although that was released under Chair, Apple loved it. They helped you. You've got some big TV spots as well. Publishing, for a studio like ours, we can talk to the Chilingos, the mini clips. What do you think of publishers? What value do they bring? Do they bring any? At the moment, you talked about the future.
I think that goes to one of the other questions you had about marketing. So, I came and gave this talk at GoGo Games. I probably shocked a few people when I said that pretty soon you'll see $30 million television marketing campaigns for iPhone apps. Soon is relative. I don't know if it's 5 years or 10 years, but, once the market is big enough and mature enough and you can sell enough product that it's worthwhile, you start spending money on it. Look at the money Zynga spends on Facebook. It's, it dwarfs, I'm sure, all the money we ever made. Yeah. And so the point is, eventually, all that advertising income, when the market's big enough and you can make enough money from it, if Ubisoft could sell $100 million worth of Assassin's Creed, just that one thing, app on iTunes, they would spend $7 to $13 million on marketing because that's the formula that these companies work off.
But this is for the AAA type games, rather
it's
than...
whatever the game is. But the point is that at the point in time at which people start advertising these games outside of just gaming the App Store,
Yeah.
and outside of the features and the few things that you can do today to market app, at the point at which they're running Super Bowl ads for these apps, they'll all be doing it. Look at all the money. Look at EA and Activision are going to beat the crap out of each other this fall, spending hundreds of millions of dollars marketing Modern Warfare against Battlefield 3, Modern Warfare 3 against Battlefield 3, because that's how you sell stuff.
So publishers then, how would they come in for the average?
So
I mean,
that's
for
the thing
us,
is,
the guys that aren't making the AAAs,
well,
the
that's
guys
the
making
thing
the candy, as you
when
so
you
politely
have,
called it last
whether
time.
they're the smaller games or larger games, when you have games that you can spend that kind of money on, and people will discover them outside of the simple discovery methods we have today.
Yeah.
Everybody will be doing that. And now that top 25 or top 50 chart on iPhone will be mostly dominated by the guys who are advertising outside of just the store. That's just how distribution works. This isn't, again, this is just business, folks. This isn't any special sauce here, right? Once upon a time, Ford only had in-store marketing, and now they sponsor football and television campaigns. You know what I mean? All businesses go this way. We bootstrap our businesses. The video game business was bootstrapped the exact same way, and now you see big, huge marketing campaigns. And it's going to be the same for the mobile game business. It's just a matter of time. And my point is, when you get there, though, to be competitive when that top 50, which is how people discover apps on their phone, when that top 50 is filled with apps that are all advertised on television, you're going to need to advertise on television. That would be the role of a publisher, because what are publishers to our industry? They're the banks. They're the guys who finance the development of the really high quality games. They're the guys who do the marketing. They go out and make deals. On Android, the way to make money on Android, and GameLoft has done a superb job of it, and they're a licensee of Unreal Engine 3, by the way. Had to get one plug in, sorry. GameLoft has made deals with all the carriers. Because on Android, there's all these carrier-specific stores now, and carriers are bundling things, and there's not a lot of slots. It's not like 80 companies are going to be able to have that strategy and be successful, because that dollar or two that this carrier in this region is willing to spend on bundling an app for that phone is only $1 or $2. Yeah. It's not going to be $20, right? And so, but they've done that, and that's kind of the precursor to this.
So, gaming for us as a small studio means mobile gives us a platform to cheaply get into the gaming world. And for me and a lot of my friends, we only really use phones now. Do you see the end of the console? You say here maybe the next 5 years it's going to disappear, and
no, not at all.
The iPad takes over.
Yeah, the people talking about the end of the console are just idiots. It just doesn't make a. Look, here's the thing. You have an iPad here.
He asked me to say that, by the way.
Yeah. You can only put so much in an iPhone. Let's do an iPhone. It's a better idea. Right? Well, iPad too. But you can only put so much into one of these. Yeah. You can't put an NVIDIA GTX 580 into one of these things, because it needs a heatsink that's this big. Well, it's bigger than the phone. Right? So there's only so much you can do in a mobile form factor compared to what you can plug in a wall and build some air around. Yeah. So the idea that, these things are just going to disappear is crazy. The hardware manufacturers aren't stopping making more and more powerful. In fact, if you talk to the guys who make the chips for these, what are they doing? They're making more and more and more powerful chips. Yeah. And they're trying to get them into set-top boxes and what I call near-mobile experiences. And that'll, those are essentially consoles. And so the difference, I had a slide in my GoGo Games talk that NVIDIA gave me that showed that there will always be about a 10 times performance difference between what you can put in a phone and what you can plug in a wall, because they're not going to let you put a nuclear reactor up to the side of your head, right? So to me, it's kind of preposterous. And will we want to have that better gaming experience? Sure. But, that phone, that console could also potentially be your tablet.
Yeah.
Something a little bit bigger like this. It could be, and when you get in front of your television, you sit it down on the table, and now it shows up on your big screen, and you could pick up a controller or use your phone and start playing the game like that. So I actually had Logitech built me, you saw this demo. Yeah, Logitech built me a custom controller for my iPad. It was a bit of a hack.
You show off.
And I connected it to an HD TV, and I put it down on the table, and I picked up the controller, and I played Dungeon Defenders, which is a game that one of our licensees made with a controller. Yeah. And so, to me, that's kind of a context-sensitive environment. Like when you get in range of your console, this thing will share the power with the console, and now you'll be able to do that much more.
Yeah.
But no, I don't believe consoles may change in terms of what they are, but that model of that subsidized piece of hardware that you plug in the wall that's really powerful, I don't see that going away.
So what about, I mean, the future for sort of indie developers like myself and others out there? Does it have to be AAA? I mean, you talk here about a quote that from the head of Take-Two said that £20 to £40 mobile games will be coming eventually. Does that mean that we have to be working with likes of you guys to make these fancy games, or is there still a future for the candies?
No, it's horses for courses, as you Brits like to say. There's all kinds of different experiences. It's just one kind of, AAA is just one type of really high-end experience. But I do believe, I think what Strauss said, I know some app guys poo-pooed on it, but I think it will be inevitable that we'll be able to sell you a LA Noire or Red Dead Redemption style experience that you'll sit down and play for hours at a time instead of, even Infinity Blade. You can sit down and play for 5 or 10 minutes, walk away, come back, play it again later. Where that's not the same as the big console gaming experience that you play for a long period of time. And I think, especially with tablets, we'll have some of those, right? And it's just a matter of value. People aren't afraid to spend $10 or $15 to download movies onto these things. You buy albums for $13. I mean, it's not, people are consuming rather expensive things on these. The idea that games have to be 99 cents or free to be successful, I think, is a bit of a letdown. Yeah.
So, I mean, just to sort of finalize now advice.
It's like saying that our content is worth less than other people's content. And I don't like people calling us worthless, by the way.
What advice would you give sort of guys like us running smaller studios, other than using the Unreal Engine? What would you use to, what would it be? A few little juicy things that people can do. I mean, I guess quality is a key thing. Make something actually good, and then get those eyeballs to it, and there's a chance you're going to make some money. Look at that.
You're running over time. Yeah, I mean, I think you already know what to do, right? You just have to do it. I mean, the one thing we do at Epic is we just turn down a lot of things. Yeah. There's so many opportunities you can get bogged down with, and you just have to make a really great product and focus really well on doing a great job. We always say you can have it right or you can have it right now, and I'd say focus on the right, and don't run out of money doing the right now.
Okay, we better do some questions. We're not going to use the ball today. We're going to use the cat. It doesn't work as well. So does anyone have any questions for Mark?
We have the ball. It's there.
Yeah, but we don't want the bubble. We're doing something different today. Go on then. Just shout. We can hear you.
Yeah, there's no mic in the cat. Mills said he wanted a little pussy.
Hello?
They gave him.
So yeah, you're saying that those idiots that think that consoles could be over. I think one of those guys was John Carmack last week or a couple of weeks ago. He wasn't referring so much to mobile gaming, but more to kind of online cloud-based gaming services. Do you think that there's a future for those replacing console in the home?
Well, the cloud stuff's pretty cool. I mean, we're one of the OnLive original partners. We're also working with the Gaikai guys. I mean, these guys have some pretty cool technology. I think there's a looming challenge, though, for those guys that seems to be being relatively ignored. The fact is, a lot of the cable modem and DSL guys in the U.S. are starting to go to metered service. So, and obviously we're also seeing, like, you can no longer buy an unlimited iPlan phone plan in the U.S. So my only fear is that, that too many fingers in the cookie jar could hurt these guys. So if you now have to, every time you're playing World of Warcraft, you have to watch over your back to see if AT&T's coming to collect 5 cents a megabyte. That is not insignificant. 5 cents a megabyte. Think about that. What would a movie, once you're over your cap, what would a movie cost you to watch on Netflix? A lot more than going to the movie theater, right? If it's a good one. So that to me, there's definitely some challenges there. Plus, what we're doing there is we're decentralizing. Like, it's like going back to the days of the mainframes. Remember those? Anybody making games for mainframes anymore? No? Oh, okay. Just checking. But so now we have all this power, all this distributed power in people's hands, and it's getting better and better at what it can do. And so the idea that we're just going to turn these into dumb terminals, I'm not 100% sure about that. But I don't want to put a cloud over cloud gaming, because there's definitely some areas where it works really well. I mean, we did this Samaritan demo at GDC where we showed this super high-end DX11 kind of next generation stuff in Unreal. And the machine there probably cost, $2,500 to build, because we had 3 of the top graphics cards in it and a top CPU and tons of RAM and rated hard drives. And so that's the kind of stuff, maybe users will rent that from services like Gaikai or OnLive. I just don't know. It's too early to tell. The other problem is you have to be able to reach everybody. And people want to play games on the go. And, sitting in this room, guess what? Go try to download something off O2. You're not getting a very good connection here. So, I mean, there's, like I say, there's challenges there. I wouldn't say that the book is already written on cloud computing and what's going to be. There's certainly some ways that cloud computing is working today. They're absolutely brilliant. You buy something now on iTunes on your phone and it loads in the background on your other device. Right? So there's certainly lots of interesting things there, but I wouldn't say the book is written that that's going to replace consoles.
Sweet.
Okay.
Unreal for Facebook.
I don't know. Do you think the Facebook audience wants to run our kinds of games?
Eventually, maybe. Can I have my pussy back, by the way? Cheers.
I don't know.
Oh, Mark's going to.
Mills, I had a question for you.
Blimey, this is the guy you should ask.
Well, you've been learning over the last 6 weeks about the stuff that you're doing. What are the big takeaways for you, and what have you changed since your relationship with Mark?
Well, I think we were sort of a design studio that's sort of into making entertaining products. We were successful in terms of Apple heavily promoting one of our recent nursery rhyme apps that was kind of built to perfection. It got critical acclaim, yet at the end of the day, the user base wasn't there, and the second Apple stopped promoting it, really you see a mass drop-off. We made like 25 grand in a few weeks, and then we make 100 quid a day. And I think for us it was, let's put that same amount of quality into an area of the market where there's clearly a need for it. So we're working on a game now. It'll be about £100,000 spend. Sadly, our team is the same size as his team that made 11 million, and we don't expect to really make anything from it, but it's a kind of experience for us. Making a game that's actually good and playful from the ground up is what we're trying to do. So it's kind of, I want to be able to tell my mum really that I make games. It sounds more fun than telling her I do user experience. She doesn't even know what that is. So it's nice just working with this guy because he's a lunatic and he likes to talk. So you can go to the pub with him and just sit there and just watch. It's like watching TV, really.
I'm better behind glass.
Yeah. Anyone else? Cheers.
This one over there.
That wasn't. Oh, the catch is bad.
Thank you. Okay, so Mark, you said you spent sort of $2 million on developing and launching the game, and you sold it at the, and I put this in quotes, premium price of $6. I work at Xbox.
Well, I don't call that premium, but anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So do you think that there's a market right now for a game that costs $4 million to make and you sell for $12? Not $12 million.
If it's good enough, absolutely.
Or it costs $8 million to make and it sells for $20.
That's a tougher one. I mean, would I do that today? I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, we'd certainly do that on consoles, right? We make games for $20 million that sell for $60, and we make a lot of, sell a lot of them.
Specifically on iOS, though.
Yeah. No, I don't think that. Well, first of all, I don't think the power is in these devices yet to produce something to that level of quality that users would see the value there. That's the other thing that you have to understand is, like the PlayStation Vita. The Vita is a really powerful device. It's twice as powerful as one of these, right? It's got the same kind of core as this, but 4 of them instead of 2. And it's got the controls for exactly those kinds of games that you want to play like that. So I don't think I'd have a problem making a game for that device, knowing that you could sell it for $20 or $30. It's going to be a really hardcore thing. The thing feels great in your hands. That's different. I think there's just not enough power here yet, or enough of install base of really powerful phones today that difference would be appreciated. Right, and also, the resolution, the textures, the memory, and again, we're starting to get into, we talk about cloud computing, but here's where we're starting to get into games that are going to be 2 gigs, right? So longer download times. Obviously, you can offset that a little bit. So I don't know if I do that, but I think there's certainly, that time is coming, right? Who knows what the iPad 3 looks like, right? Or iPad 4 or 5, I don't know, right? Or the iPad 4 or 5 or 6, but these devices, you've got to figure, Apple went 9 times more powerful on the GPU of this device than it was on the previous one. If they keep doing 9 times every year, which I doubt they will, that's kind of crazy. But if they were to keep doing that, then absolutely you could make those games. And don't forget, the economics of the first thing you described is a record album. You just described what Beyonce spent on her last album, $3 or $4 million of production, and she's going to sell it for $12 on iTunes. And guess what? She'll sell tons of it. So, you know, why are we building around the idea that games are worth less than music albums?
So why did you sell it for $6 and not $12?
Because we think right now that's the right price. We're looking, you know, you have to look at what the market is today, and we certainly want to go a little bit above there. But there's lots of games sell for $9.99. EA sells Madden when it first comes out for $12, $13. So it's not, we didn't pick the highest price.
Mark, look at that.
It says, get the fuck out of here.
Sadly, we have no more time for questions, but I'm sure Mark will field loads of them tonight at the bar. So thanks to Mark. He's a
Get
true,
off Wonka.
Yeah.
That's not good.